Cece Hiles joining us right now because there's an interesting move in the conversation about life. And this has been something that has come up from time to time, and it really kind of hit in the recent debates. The discussion is happening. Of course, the discussion is about late-term abortions and what that really looks like. And Will, from an interesting source, The Atlantic, the headline is, yes, third trimester abortions are happening in America.
That's right. And the subheading of that is Democrats tend to brush off questions about whether these abortions should be restricted. We did see that in the debates. We also saw that there was the fact checks from the moderators in the Harris-Trump debate that tried to also give cover for Kamala Harris when she was talking about how she wants to return to Roe v. Wade. But Cece, this Atlantic piece, which still tries to give some cover because of their perspective on the debate of abortion for the reasoning of these, but it reveals, and in shocking detail, that these are much more common than even I, as someone who works for an organization that advocates for life and reads a lot of this and feel very informed about this discussion, kind of shocked me to the degree that this is happening.
Yeah, and, we can go back to the presidential debate or the vice presidential debate where, when President Trump had said these abortions are happening in the 7th and 8th and 9th month, and Kamala Harris said, that's just absolutely not true. And then, of course, you have, Walz saying basically the same or skirting that statement, even though he signed a law like this as governor, allowing these late-term abortions to happen. And so here you have, the facts actually coming out that, yes, they do happen. And in this article, they said, just in one state, so there's 9 states and D.C. that allow these late-term abortions. And in just one state where they could actually get numbers, in Colorado, there was 137 of these late-term abortions. And what you have to understand is when we're talking about the third trimester, we're talking about 28 weeks. Now, a baby can live at 22 weeks. So really, even though they'll try to say, well, this is to save the life of a mother, but you never have to murder the child to save the life of the mother. These late-term abortions, the babies can be delivered and live. And so it's a subject they don't want to talk about because 80% of Americans, almost 80% of Americans, have said they don't support third trimester abortions. And yet the Democrats are still trying to spin it and say, no, they don't happen, but they do. And maybe to the tune of, we don't know the exact number, but at least 1,000 if we go from what Colorado has of 137 in just one state.
Yeah, we know if those numbers are equal across the board, and as you said, Colorado not exactly the most populated state. If it's 100 plus in each one of these states, which we can roughly guess, that's it. Yeah, you're talking about 1,000 of these third trimester partial birth abortions essentially that were be occurring. And as someone who had premature children and went through the NICU process and all of that, I've seen how strong a lot of these children are. It is not for the faint of heart. It is the toughest thing I've ever been through, and I assume will probably ever go through. However, it is a incredible feat of technology that's moved forward that allows these children who are born very early to have a chance at a full life. So when you do have these moments, when you have someone like The Atlantic coming out saying, no, we need to fact check this ourselves, and you need to be at least honest with yourself. I think that's what the Democratic argument has lacked, which is just honest with themselves. They became a little bit more when all of a sudden it became, they started using the word abortion. Because for a long time, it was like the word you never said. It was choice. It was other words, but we never actually used reproductive. And then you started embracing the word abortion. They started embracing the sort of murder side of this, if we're just being honest.
Right.
Now, when the facts start coming out and the reality starts to set in, they start to distance themselves from it, but they just simply can't.
And when you read this article as well, and kind of that point, the Democrats have doubled down thinking this is their issue that's going to get moderates in suburban areas to vote for them in November. And I think to some degree, they've been effective at it. But what they're not telling you is how extreme their platform really is. And when you read this article from The Atlantic, they interviewed a doctor who specializes in late abortions, and he estimated about half of his patients have healthy pregnancies. So even that argument that they're so rare, it only happens when there is a fetal abnormality or the life and death of health of the mother, then this argument starts to crumble when even half of those are healthy pregnancies. So there's no real reason medically that they could argue that these are happening, but they also take the Democrats to task, saying that most Americans, as Cece pointed out, believe that third trimester abortion should be restricted. If Democrats want a platform that truly reflects majority opinion, they should address the question of what to do about later abortions, adopt a position that protects abortion in the first trimester while limiting the second, and third trimester abortions to pregnancies with fetal abnormalities and maternal health crises. Cece, I think they used a word in that paragraph that it strikes me ironically that the Democrats should adopt a position that protects first trimester abortions. But what they're leaving out here is that the work the ACLJ does to protect PRCs and sidewalk counselors, we want to focus on that word adopt, because there are options for people out there.
Absolutely. And adoption is an option. And that is when they talk about maternal health crisis. Again, when the baby's in the third trimester, that child can live. So just to go ahead and have that child, be born. And then, yes, we can get into adoption. There are options, so you don't have to murder the child.
Yeah, we're working on a lot of different ways we can present those options to the American people right now at the ACLJ. So I encourage you to do that. Look, I know this is a tough topic to discuss. No one really on their lunch break or sitting around going, I really want to talk about late-term abortions. But it's true and it's happening. We need to at least address it.